I mean, really, seriously, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm trying to tell the damn truth because, you know, this is a game that all these people want to get into. I know there's not enough time. There's not enough time in the radio in the day for them to play every record. For every record. So no, I'm just saying, there's not enough time in the day to play every record. There's not enough time in the day. They don't have enough time to listen to it. But they don't seem like they have, you don't have the guts to say, I like this record. Shit, I'm breaking this. Okay, hold on, excuse me. Can I say something? First of all, okay. I'm sorry, brother, what's your name?
My name is Vaughn. My name is Vaughn Mason.
Vaughn Mason. Vaughn Mason. Thank you. Let me say, all right, go ahead.
With all due respect, Vaughn, I understand the history of Bounce Rock Skate. I grew up in New York. I grew up on Frankie. I grew up on 98.7 KISS when it was WXLO before Barry converted it. I was Tony Graves' programming intern in New York, and I worked for Frankie. So I grew up on Red Alert, just like a lot of people on the panel. I grew up on Chuck Chill Out, Mr. Magic, Marley Marl, the old things. Even the college station, what was it, HBI?
WHBI.
Back in the day, on those type of things. Unfortunately, we as program directors, and I probably have the most leeway out of a lot of corporate program directors.
And it sounds that way.
But corporate radio is different. In PPM right now, listeners may tune in every 9-10 minutes. When a listener tunes in, they want to hear their favorite record. A lot of us, we can take chances on a record or artist, and a lot of us do. But we have to make a wise decision. Our playlist is tight, just being real. And like I said, I think on the panel, I probably have the most leeway because CBS doesn't really control the playlist. But at the same time, well, outside of, you know, some things, but at the same time, you know, when you only have so many slots, whether it's hip hop or R&B, as a program director, you trying to get listeners, and every ratings point could be millions of dollars, you gotta make a wise decision. And Frankie, the Barrys, the Herb Cool Jets back in the day, the Sonny Taylors, those were trailblazers, I think, for all of us, but the game has changed.
The cheese is moving. The cheese is moving. He just explained, like now, it's really, it's a business. It's more of a business than it was back then. And you know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, they got to worry about that person hitting that button to the next station.
I mean, if you're not in the music, what's the first thing you're going to do when you hear music? If you're riding in the radio, in the car, listening to your radio, and a new unfamiliar song comes on, what are you going to do most likely? Switch to the next station to see if Jeezy or something familiar is playing to you, and that's
Well, just to address that, I was just in a car driving down here from Baltimore. Listen, hear me out. And what was the name of the song by Miguel? Dawn. It was some song
I was driving down from Baltimore. I heard this record. I've never heard this record before in life. I don't even know this. I didn't know who it was. I didn't know who the voice was. I knew nothing. I said, this is a hit record. What's it? It was by Miguel.
Miguel.
I don't know the name.
Dawn is name.
Have I heard that? I told him, I said, that's a hit record. I'm going to sell it right now. That's a hit record. To me, that's a hit record. If I was a programmer, I would take the freaking risk and get known in the business that, hey, if I hire this guy, like Howard Stern, he takes plenty of risk. If he gets fired, okay, let's move on to the next one, make more money next time I get hired. But doesn't sound like I'm going to do that. So anyway, that's my thing.
But with all due respect, I mean, you're speaking in a general sense.
But you can't say that while you're in the business, man.
You're speaking in a general sense, and there are certain radio stations across the country that do take chances on a lot of different music. But what will happen sometimes, and just like Reggie was saying, is that sometimes you'll put a record in, it's a new record, and you take a chance on the record, and if the record's not doing good, you got to take it out. So you can't specifically, you're speaking in a general sense, and I just wanted you to be just a little bit more specific because there are plenty of radio stations across the country that do take chances.
And like they said, at the end of the day, it's all about y'all. Y'all make the decisions. Y'all make the decisions for what I rock. And by the way, I got Adorn and Power. Absolutely. That's a big. I heard it the first time like you did and put it right in. So I mean, some of us take chances.
Once again, I'm Big B from Wilmington, North Carolina. Last retreat we had here, it was a core retreat. We want to make sure live. I met a young man who was out grinding. We were in bowling. And he walked up to me while we were bowling, and he gave me a CD, and on the front it was black and white, and it said "Bow." And I said, "What the shit is this?" and one of my mixers was like, "Yo, B, I told you about the record." And I was like, "What the hell is this?" I put it in my pocket and kept rolling. And my mixer is here too. He's a core DJ too, just as I am. And I said, "Well, let's listen to the record on the way home." So we listened to the record. It happened to be this young man named Ray Nick. And we said, well, let's take a chance on it, put it in your mix show, and see where it go from there. How many times have you been to Wilmington, Ray Nick? About 17 times. But we took a chance on that record. So there are stations that will take a chance on a record. Absolutely. It's not that, oh, I better not play this record, I'm going to get fired. But this record has to be wow. When I play that bow record to this day, we're 3-4 years later, when I play that record in the club, you're supposed to dance to it, and that's what they do. And so when you get that emotional reaction, like the brother said down here, when you get that emotional reaction in the club, anywhere, kids are singing it or whatever, y'all got the bow record, can you play that record? Man, we ain't been in rotation yet, and Mike is playing it in his mix show. Those are the guys that are taking the risk. And so, like Nick is, and she makes the a great example, and I sat on a panel with her before. She's the lawyer, and she says, hey, this record is hot, let's see if we can play it. Exactly. And so I'm the judge, so I got to make that decision whether or not we should play this record. She's saying it's hot. Mike Lang was telling me it was hot. It's in the club. I got to trust his judgment to some extent. So there are radio stations that are taking risks. There are DJs that are still breaking records, and we need those guys in radio. And that's very, very important. But we still are corporate America. Absolutely. And when it comes down to the dollar, they don't give a damn about us, y'all. Exactly. You feel me? And if they change that channel, and it's $1 million when they change that channel, it's a problem.
Can I say something? There's a philosophy difference in being a programmer and being a mixer, to me. Okay, as a programmer, I use my mixers to break new music. Okay, especially hip hop. They break more hip hop in Atlanta than R&B. Okay, so by the time the mixer's telling me it's hot, I'm watching it. We're watching the clubs and seeing what's going on, just like Bill and Hurricane do here in Atlanta as well. Okay, so it's a record. If I get the slot, then maybe the next one in rotation for me. Okay, but it's new to my whole massive audience. Meaning, it's new to the majority of my audience, not the mid-show audience, not Greg Street or the Dirty Boys, where it may have been played in the mix then, becomes new to the whole audience, whether it's mornings, middays, afternoons, overnights, whatever. So mixers, to me, have to warm us up on certain records. But as a programmer, that record may stay around for 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Okay, but while I'm playing that record, y'all busy jumping on the new 2 or 3 records that Rick Ross put out last week that we can't fit into rotation. Touching You's a hit right now. Rick dropped 3 Kings after that. Okay, 3 Kings I may not have room for. I love the record, but I may not have that space right now. As soon as Touching You comes down or I get another slot, I'll move 3 Kings in. But I can't play 4 Rick Ross records, 4 Trey Songz records. They dropped another Trey last night. I talked to the label. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Well, it's Trey, Jeezy, and Wayne. I'm like, okay, but I got dialed in. Y'all got two reasons. We can't play all of these records and be successful as a radio station. So the mixers being essential to us as programmers help us educate and help us make good choices.
There's a science to absolutely. Please explain the science.
So, see, I used to run a company called Super Radio, and we syndicated, we named a number of mixed DJs. Now, the ones that grew and had big distribution bases understood that you can't play 2 unfamiliar records in a row. If you're playing something hot, you better make sure that you follow it up with something else, and you have to know how to do that. Now, like the Baker Boys, perfect example. They've got 80 radio stations now. They're programming for 80 stations, and they're winning in most of their markets. I mean, they were trained by Rick Cummings, Steve Smith, so there's a science to what they do. Clint Sparks, he started with us. Another example of somebody that understood that you can play hot records, but you got to sandwich them between hits. So as a DJ, if you want to grow and increase your brand, you better make sure that you understand radio programming and also know what the next hot record is. If you do both, you understand that science, you're going to have a long career. You know, and we've done everybody from DJ Rand, Don Mystic Mac. I mean, it's, you know, Farris Thomas, you know, Steve Maestro, and the ones that stuck with us over the long period of time are the ones that really understood that, hey, listen, I got to listen to what records are really hot across the country, but also find those records that are going to be the next hot records. And it's a blend of those two. You can't just put a ton of unfamiliar records in a row. It's just, it's depth.